Protect your privacy online with the best VPN for gaming, ExpressVPN, and visit expressvpn.com/GhillieMaster, linked in the description, to find out how you can get 3 months free. 2017's gun running update brought lots of amazing vehicles into the game that are still used very much today. The Night Shark comes to mind. However, it also brought some vehicles that were really cool concepts but just aren't all that good in game. The Weaponized Tampa falls into that category. It's one of the nicest looking cars in the update with its various armor panels covering the vehicle, and its dual miniguns are very powerful. But then why don't you ever see the Weaponized Tampa roaming the streets in GTA Online? Well, it's because it's kind of flawed in its design. The Weaponized Tampa is armed up quite a bit, as you would imagine. It has 3 different explosive weapons on it: the free fire rockets on the front, the explosive mines it can place down, and the mortar on the back. And the amount of explosives it can take before blowing up, 0. That's right, the Weaponized Tampa has 0 explosive resistance, meaning that if you were to even make the slightest of mistakes with one of those 3 explosive weapons I just mentioned, you're dead. And because the rockets are free fire, if you're just driving up a slight incline and manage to shoot one, it's gonna blow up in front of you and then you're dead. The free fire rockets are kind of useless on the Weaponized Tampa. There's not really a situation where I'd want to use the free fire rockets over the strong dual miniguns. So when it comes to making this vehicle better, we first of all need to up the explosive resistance so it's less likely that you will end up killing yourself with the vehicle's own weapons. And this would of course make it less of a laughingstock against some of the other vehicles in the game as well. And then we're going to replace the Weaponized Tampa's terrible free fire rockets with some more useful ones. But starting with the armor, my thought process with this was that I wanted it to be similar to the Toreador and the Stromberg, and in order to do that, I had to first give it the flag for capped explosion damage so that it doesn't blow up in one hit anymore. And then I modified the weapon damage multiplier and the engine damage multiplier from 1 and 1.5 to 0.2 and 0.250 to make it take a couple more hits from rockets. And in game, this comes out to the Tampa blowing up in 3 to 4 rockets. In single player, the vehicle sets on fire after 3, so it's essentially destroyed from that point on, but this amount gives it a little bit of resistance against, number 1, its own weapons, so you can now tank a few mine hits and various other accidental explosions. And number 2, someone on foot isn't just going to be able to simply shoot one homing missile at you and delete you just like that. Now moving on to the Weaponized Tampa's offense, let's start with the bigger change. Instead of the useless free fire missiles, I gave it the Stromberg or Toreador missiles. The Stromberg and Toreador each have their special abilities, which are being able to go underwater, and for the Toreador also the boost. I consider the Weaponized Tampa's special ability to just be having more weapons, and that's why I went with these missiles. Just in general, having the homing missiles makes the vehicle so much more usable. You actually feel powerful in the Weaponized Tampa with this change, and they now have so many offensive options, which is where the vehicle can shine. The missiles work good for air vehicles and fast-moving cars, the dual miniguns work great against people on foot, and the mortar and mines work very nicely for people chasing you. Now the lock-on sound doesn't actually work, I'm not quite sure why that is, but everything else works aside from that. They're the same missiles as the submarine cars, and they track the same as well. In single player, there are no ammo limits or rocket limits, but if I was to give the Weaponized Tampa a limit on the amount of rockets it has, I would give it only 20. With all things considered, I think 20 would be a great amount. The only other change we made was to the spin times of the dual minigun. They were at 1 second each. I slightly lowered them to 0.750, and the spin times are basically how long you have to hold the fire button down before the guns actually start firing. I felt it was a little too long before, so I lowered them by a tad. Other than that though, the dual miniguns are just fine how they are right now. Surprisingly, Rockstar made a vehicle machine gun actually good and balanced. And that is going to conclude the Weaponized Tampa rebalance. Just a couple of changes is all it took to make the Weaponized Tampa good and viable. All it needed was a slight buff to its armor and a change to some more useful missiles to give it some more variety in combat. If you guys enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to leave a like, as well as subscribe to my channel for more guide and PvP related content. Let me know in the comment section which vehicle I should rebalance next. I want to give a huge thank you to all my channel members for your support. If you'd like to become a member for some exclusive perks, you can either use the join button or the link that's down in the description. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.